The key thing I want to start off with is by talking about how important the work that doctors do is. Medicine is a vocation, and doctors in this country do a fantastic job. The issue I have is with the British Medical Association, which is a trade union that is becoming more militant. Our policy on banning strikes is coming about because the BMA has been doing this again and again and again. It's cost about $2 billion.
With the support of the doctors. I mean, they voted for these strikes.
Yes, well, some doctors did, not all of them, and there are many doctors who don't like what is happening. So what we want to do is put doctors on a par with the military, with police officers, with prison officers. The truth is, when doctors go on strike, patients die. This is what we saw in the last strike. We also can't afford this. It's not fair on taxpayers. Even the NHS is complaining. So what we would do is move to what we do with army officers, with police, where we have a pay body that makes the decision. I know that a lot of doctors, resident doctors in particular, feel that they are underpaid. But the truth is, with time, that pay increases. It's just a short period of time. As time goes on, most doctors get paid a lot more than many other people in the public sector can look forward to in terms of income and earnings.
But are you offering, if you went ahead with this and banned strikes, are you offering anything in return? Because often in no strike agreements, you say, OK, well, we recognise that we're taking this away from you, so therefore we're going to give you X, Y or Z.
Well, sometimes that can be the case. That has been the case with police officers and army officers before. But in the coalition, you may remember, we actually did not, when we changed some of those rules, we did not make those guarantees. We have to look at the political situation and the economic situation that we're in. We would love to be able to give, pay rises as much as possible to everyone in the public sector. But the truth is, this is being paid for by taxing other people. And what we're seeing is businesses are closing, jobs are disappearing, unemployment is increasing. That means that the government is going to have even less money to pay wages. This is not the time for another 28% pay rise. And what we saw, and I was looking at West Streeting when he said it, the Conservatives don't know how to negotiate. They'll sort it out with the doctors. They gave the 28% that they were asking for with no conditions, no request for reform. And now there's another strike. We can't keep having endless strikes in the whole country, especially patients, being held hostage like this. So what we want to see is something that is fairer, that is fair to doctors, but that is also fair to the taxpayer.
But if you said to the resident doctors, look, we recognise that if we take this right to strike away from you, we are going to give you something in return. We're going to, bear in mind that you're unlikely to get the chance before 2028 or 29, but let's assume it's now. In return, we will guarantee you pay restoration by 2028 or something like that. At least they would feel that they've got something out of it, whereas at the moment, people don't like it when government takes rights away from them, do they?
Well, the police are in the same situation. So are the military, so are prison officers.
I'm going to have to push back on the fact that the police are holders of the warrant, which is why they can't strike. We are public employees working for a government organisation. And I have to say, there's a lot of things, and I appreciate what you're saying about sort of the BMA are our union, the leaders of whom we voted for. We voted to strike on numerous occasions for issues that go far beyond pay. Pay restoration is a huge part of it, and patient safety is something that you've mentioned. From working in the job, I can assure you patient safety is in jeopardy every single day.
Well, it's if you go on strike, isn't it?
Yeah, but striking is always a last resort, and it's a last resort because we have made noise time and time again about the issues that we're facing in the NHS, and pay is one of them. And I think it's really important to highlight that if you take striking away from doctors, if you take away our ability to vote with a ballot, we will vote with our feet. Already, a survey's come out from the BMA today that 52% of doctors at my level don't have a job to go into in 3 weeks' time. They couldn't find specialty training jobs. They couldn't find locum work.
I think that's a very good point you're making. That is, in my view, a separate issue that does need to be addressed. It is completely crazy that we have doctors in our country who can't find roles at the same time as we're bringing loads of people from abroad to fill those roles. So Niamh, I do understand your predicament, but speaking as a politician who has to look after the entire public sector, has to think about the entire public sector, sector as well as the private sector. We have now, because the doctors had such a good settlement last year, the nurses think that they didn't get a good deal and they're asking for more. But I'm also seeing the economic situation.
They didn't get a good deal at all.
We are borrowing £100 billion more than what we earn. We are borrowing to pay welfare. We're borrowing to pay our public sector. Businesses are closing. So we have to be realistic about what we can afford to pay. All of this will be fixed by starting with the economy, getting businesses growing again, making sure they can hire people, taxes are paid, and then we can look at a pay rise. But at the moment, when there is no money coming in, we're not living within our means. More and more people are going on welfare. We're ending up in a situation where a 28% pay rise, that's 6 times, more than inflation. It's just not affordable.
It's asking to go from £18 an hour, and it would be interesting to hear, Kemi, actually what you believe would be a fair hourly rate for a resident doctor, because what we're asking for is to go from £18 an hour to 23, and actually it would be interesting to hear what you think would be a fair salary.
My view on doctor salaries is that it's not permanent. You're not going to be on 18 forever. As you continue in your career, you're going to be earning way more money than pretty much anyone else in the public sector. It's just
Absolutely,
the way the scale works.
As I've just highlighted, those jobs aren't available to us. That progression isn't guaranteed. There isn't the job security.
And that's where I think we should focus on. That needs to be fixed. Simply increasing your pay when there's a problem further down the pipeline, when the economy isn't doing very well at the moment. I think that we're not being serious about the root cause of all these problems. I completely understand. I do understand where you're coming from. My father was a doctor. My mother still teaches doctors. I have a lot of respect for the medical profession, but we cannot create a special rule for doctors when the police say the same thing, nurses are saying the same thing, the military is saying the same thing. The money is just not there. It's just not there. We need to start talking about where the money comes from.
No, and that I appreciate, but I think what the BMA and doctors are trying to say with these strikes is that this isn't something, the doctor deficit and the doctor crisis isn't something that can wait. This is something that's happening right now in a group of people that I know. Over 50% of us are leaving the NHS, if not leaving medicine entirely. This is something that's happening right now. It's something that's happening as a consequence of the 14 years that the Conservative government and what they did to the NHS over that time. And it's something that needs to be addressed right now. We don't have time.
I think this is a very interesting comment you've made. We put more money into the NHS than ever before. I remember in 2018, when Jeremy Hunt announced the biggest ever settlement for the NHS, we're putting more and more money in and we're getting less and less out. Something is going wrong. Something's going wrong. This is why reform needs to be one of the top items on the agenda for the NHS. How do we make it better? What is going on? Why are we putting more in when less is coming out? We need to talk about how our society is aging and how we sort of reconfigure the NHS to work for a society where people are living a lot longer, have more chronic issues later on in life. It's not just about how much money goes into it. We've put more and more in, and listening to you, it's quite clear that resident doctors, among others, are unhappy, but the money doesn't come from government. It comes from all those people out there paying taxes, and they're saying they don't have any more money.